Hello and welcome to Navigating Your GoFund Portal. This is your online portal to seeing all of your fund information. Whether you're a new treasurer, a longtime board member, or just need a refresher on how to navigate this portal, this video is going to give you the confidence to log in and navigate it, view your fund balances and donation history, submit bill payments or grant requests, review donations that are being deposited, access your fund statements, and understand the role of treasurer. All right, let's get started by logging in. So to access the GoFund portal, visit Smith's website, and in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see GoFund Portal. You can click on that and it'll take you right to the login screen. Otherwise, you can use the URL that's listed on the screen to get there directly. I would recommend that once you've gotten into the portal once, that you go ahead and make this a favorite or a bookmark on whatever browser it is that you tend to use. That way you can easily find your access to this place again. Thankfully, it will remember your contact information, so that should make things a little bit easier. But if you do forget your password, there is a link right there where you can click Forget Your Password and get it reset. The very first time that you log into the portal, you will get login credentials from Smith. If you don't have access yet, reach out to your staff representative, or if you're having trouble getting in, just let them know and they can help. All right, once you log in, you're going to see your home screen or your dashboard. This is your portal overview. Across the top, you'll have your navigation bar that shows you all of the places that you can go within the portal. The left-hand side shows you your funds. So if you have more than one fund connected to your community foundation, you can just use that drop-down to navigate between them, and your staff contact information. Then the heart of this home screen really is the notices. This is a place where there's some links to some other forms and important information for you, and anything that the Smith Foundation has listed here as important for you to know as you're navigating through your portal or just connected to your fund all together. So make sure to read through those the first time and then just kind of check on them to see if anything's updated when you log in occasionally. All right, let's go to your first navigation bar, which is your fund summary. This is a great snapshot of the activity in your fund. It includes your current balance. It also includes your current spendable balance. It shows you the recent contributions to your fund, as well as recent grant awards that have been paid out. In the upper left-hand corner, the drop-down allows you to also switch between funds. So really easy to get that fund summary depending on which funds you want to look at. You can also, from here, click the full grant history or full gift history. If you scroll all the way to the right, at the end of those columns, there'll be that little green button. Click that and you'll get to those full history. Otherwise, you can navigate there at the top through that main navigation portal as well. You can see some other really nice, easy things like recommend a grant, your documents, or your view fund statement. But all of that is also up in the main navigation. So really great little snapshot to see where you're at with things with your fund. If you want a full fund statement, then go to that navigation at the top. And here you can see the period of time that you select. It's going to default to the year to date. So for example, if you're clicking into the fund statement in July, it's going to show you January 1st to whatever that day in July is that you happen to be in there. But you can change that period of time. So if you want to go and get a 3-year fund statement or 2-year, whatever you want to do, you can definitely do that. If you want to get a historical statement, you can do that in there too. So say you want to see what last year's fund statement looked like compared to what you're doing this year, you sure can do that and then download those reports to be able to compare them to each other. So this report is going to show you the beginning balance of your fund during the period of time that it's reflecting, and then the ending balance. It's also going to show you your revenue and expenses. And that's all in the top part of that fund statement. And then below it is a little bit more detail on your gift summary and grant summary for that period of time that you're looking at. These are really great to download as PDFs attached to your board minutes or attached to your board agenda to send out to people ahead of time so that they can review that information before your board meetings, or print them and bring them to your board meetings. But these are a really great statement for your fund. Okay, let's get into recommending a grant, because this piece is pretty important. When you go to the tab that says recommend a grant, there's going to be two drop-down options. The first option is business or individual. The second one is grantee. For the most part, you're going to use the business individual to recommend getting a bill paid, an invoice paid, reimbursement for an expense that one of your board members did, like perhaps somebody paid for getting flyers printed for an event and you need to submit a reimbursement request for that person to get reimbursed for that. You're going to use that business individual one. You're also going to use it for grants and scholarships that are leaving your fund. So if you're making a grant to a local organization, you're going to use that business individual selection for that. Basically, think of it this way. If a check is going to need to be cut from Smith to pay somebody, that's your drop down. The other one is grantee. And then the grantee one is just if you're doing an inter-fund transfer. So that's from your fund to another fund within Smith, whether that's a community foundation affiliate or some other kind of fund, or maybe one of your own funds that you're going to transfer. So if a physical check is not actually being cut and you just want them to transfer from one fund to another, then you would use the grantee tab. There is a full set of directions on how to fill this form out. So I'm just going to highlight a couple things for you and say that if you've never recommended a grant using this form, that I would suggest that you read the full directions on this. But basically, you need to know the organization name. So and you can search for organizations in there. A lot of the grantees that you would think to award a grant to are probably already going to be in that search organization. And so that makes it really easy. Or if you've awarded to them before, they're going to be in there and you just search their names, their organization name, whatever, and it'll pop right up and fill everything in for you. If not, then you're going to need to select create a new organization and fill out the information. Couple key things to remember. For an individual, the organization name is their first and last name. For a business, the organization is the business name. All right, make sure you fill in the amount, upload files that relate to the expense. So whether that's the invoice, the receipt for the expense that was incurred, or the minutes from your board meetings, or the grant application, whatever that documentation that says why this check should be cut is important to upload. You only need to upload one file. And then in your recommendation note, that's where you're going to be putting what you want on the memo line. And then comments is where you describe exactly what this is for. Make sure to check the box that says that you certify that this information is correct. And then you've got two options. You can either save it for later and come back and submit it. Maybe you don't have the documentation that you need, but you filled everything out. And so you just got to collect that receipt from somebody. You can go back in later, then quickly upload that receipt and then hit submit. Or if you've got everything and it's all great to go, then just go ahead and submit now. Don't forget that for checks that are $2,500 or more, Smith does need your minutes before they can process. For checks under $2,500, they're still going to need your minutes, but they don't need them to be able to process it. So just make sure you're always submitting your minutes as needed. All right. If you want to look at your grant history, just go ahead and hit that grant history button, or remember the button at the beginning on your summary, and you can see your grant history. This is all of the grants that your fund has awarded. So if you want to sort by a specific period of time, you just select the start date and the end date, and it'll show you the list of all the grants that you've awarded. This will also show you pending items that are still being processed and the details about those grants. So go ahead and go there if you want that information. This is a really great tab to help make sure that you're not submitting a grant request that has already actually been submitted and is in process. So if you can't remember, oh, did I do that or not? Go to your grant history and you'll be able to see what's already been submitted. All right, your donation and gift history tab shows all the donations to your fund. And again, this can be sorted by specific dates. So you can do a different start date or end date. It's going to default to year to date for you. You can also click on these little arrows next to the formal acknowledgement, which is the name of the person. We've grayed those out here to protect donor history. If you've got multiple funds that you're looking at, you can sort it by the fund name by using that little arrow that's right next to that formal fund name. Same with amount or gift type. You can also see the in memory or honor of notes here, as well as the date that that was posted. Right under gift history here, you can see there's an export to Excel, or right next to gift history, you can see that it says export to Excel. This is great if you want to be able to print your donor history, or maybe you want to be able to kind of put some notes in there about who you've acknowledged and who you haven't. The exporting to Excel gives you that ability to do that. You can also search here. And so if you're looking for, somebody has said that they've made a donation and didn't get an acknowledgement, you could search and see, did they, has that donation really come in, and see what they're talking about, or something like that. Anytime you want to look for something or someone, some organization specifically, you just go to that search and it will help you find them. All right, so that's a really great overview of the portal. And now let's just talk a little bit about the treasurer's role. The nice thing about being a fund underneath SMIF, underneath Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation, is that they really handle a lot of the financial information and transactions for you. Your role as a treasurer is to make sure that you're sending in the donations with the correct documentation, so they get added to the right fund, so they get acknowledged properly, all of that stuff. You're also going to monitor the fund activity through this GoFund portal, submit check requests and grant recommendations so that they can get paid, bring these statements to your board or to your budget meetings, help your board kind of understand what your fund is doing, and making sure that you're submitting the event form at least 60 days prior to an event happening. Remember, you do not have to do this all alone, but you really are a key part of your community foundation's sustainability. So some common questions that might come up are things like, my donation isn't showing up. Why? Well, it may still be processing. So check back in a week or two, or contact your SNF rep and ask them. Yes, more than one person can access your fund. So just contact SMIF to set up an additional user on the accounts. What if you forget how to do something? Well, there's a couple GoFund cheat sheets that you can look at. You can email your SMIF rep. You can watch this video again. Just remember that you are never on your own. Thanks so much for watching this, and thank you for your commitment to making philanthropy possible in your community. GoFund is a really powerful tool, and we hope it helps you feel informed, supported, and confident in your role. If you've got any questions about your portal, just reach out to your SMIF contact, because together you're building a stronger Southern Minnesota, one community at a time. Thank you.